Hi, my name is Erica, and this is my miracle moment. My husband and I met back in 2002 through his sister. My husband at that time was incarcerated. He had been in prison for some time, and his sister and I worked together. And at the moment, I was writing to two of my nephews that were incarcerated. And I'd always come and share the letters that I'd get from my nephews and how they were doing. And she happened to notice that, and she told me, she's like, "You should write my brother, because we don't have time to write to my brother. And maybe he would like that, to get letters from a friend, a pen pal." So that's how it began. We became really good friends, even after the fact when he finally came home in 2008. We still remained friends. And well, when he asked me if we would start dating, because we were so comfortable with each other already, that I told him, okay, we could try it. We can try dating, and he was a great guy. He'd make me laugh. He's just a character, and he's very humble. So I said, okay, we'll try it. So we did, and I said, under one condition. I said, as long as you promise me that you will not drink. And he promised me that he was not going to drink, and he did really good. At the beginning, he did really good. He didn't drink or anything. So the drinking continued. It started. It escalated, and it just went to a level where I didn't expect. And by that time, of course, we had already gotten married. And I did love my husband. I do love my husband. And it was just starting to get to where all of our good times, our fun moments, they started to be less and less. And we started to have more bad moments. The lies, the arguing, the frustration, and it just skyrocketed to where I started to come to church just because I needed guidance. I needed something to help me hold on to my marriage. And my parents got divorced when I was 4. So I didn't understand then because I was too young, but as I got older, I started to understand why. My dad was an alcoholic. I didn't get to see my dad very often. And then by the time I was growing up, my sisters were already married, had their own kids. And with the years, I would see how they would go through frustrations and pain and hurt and struggles. Because of the abuse of alcohol in the lives of their husbands, they went through a lot. And as I was growing up, I promised myself that I was not going to marry somebody that would drink. I tried to fight for my marriage so much that I started to put my husband and my marriage before the Lord, and that started to distance me from him. And the more I distanced myself, the more chaotic everything got in between my husband and I. We ended up separating in October of 2010. I felt like I failed as a wife, knowing the things of the Lord. Why didn't I fight harder? The lies got bigger, and it got to the point where the problems we had the first time we separated were nothing compared to what we were starting to have now. People would see us and think that we were fine, but at home it was a different story. As a matter of fact, when we separated the first time, people were so surprised and say, "You guys seem so happy together." And I just kind of smile and shake my head because they didn't know what was going on behind closed doors, and nobody really knows except those people going through what they're going through. And he called me that day and we got into a big argument, and I said, you act like you don't want to be married, you act like you don't, you want to be single again, like you want to do your own thing. If that's what you want, just let me know. And I did not expect his response. His response was, yes, I want to be single. Yes, I want to live my own life. I want to do what I want to do. When he used to tell me that, I lose all hope because I felt he's not going to do his part in this marriage. Why am I holding on to a marriage where I feel like I can't hold on anymore? Why be with the person who does not want to be with you? Why do you fight so much for a marriage where the other person just wants to be free to do what he wants to do? So I told him, if that's what you want, that's what's gonna happen. That was a Monday when he called me. By Friday, I was gone. I packed my things and I didn't know where to go. I didn't want to tell my family. I didn't want him to say again, this happened again, we told you so. Finally, my husband and I separated about a year, a little over a year we were separated. In that time, the Lord just kept working with me. I kept coming to church, I kept praying, I kept coming on Wednesdays. But for some reason, the Lord wouldn't allow me to stop praying for my husband. Even though I was done with that part of my life, I wanted to move on, start a new chapter. For some reason, he wouldn't let me. He would still put it in my heart to pray for him. And I would argue with the Lord because I talked to the Lord like I talked to my friend. I tell him, no, Lord, why do you still put him in my heart to pray for him? I told you he's in your hands. You deal with him. I'm done. There was this one time I was watching TBN and a pastor was being interviewed, and he was sharing his testimony of how he had got out of drugs and drinking and just that type of lifestyle. But one thing that got my attention was that he looked next to him and his wife was sitting next to him, and he said, in spite of everything, my wife never stopped praying for me. The gentleman doing the interview, and he asked the wife, he said, I want you to look at that camera and I want you to speak to somebody out there. The Holy Spirit's telling me to have you speak into the camera because somebody needs to hear what you have to say. So as soon as she looked in the camera, I felt like she was looking straight to the camera at me, and she goes, I know you're watching. And know that don't stop praying for your husband. The drugs, the drinking, the women. Anything he's done, don't stop. Stand by your husband. Continue to pray for him because the Lord is doing a work in him. By this time, my husband and I had already been separated for about 6 months. Process on the divorce had started. And when I heard her say that, I started to cry. My body started to shake. I started to think maybe I was making a mistake. But no, I was so determined to go with it through with a divorce. I started to pray to the Lord and ask him, continue to guide me, give me understanding of what I need to do, make sure that this is what you want me to do. And I continued with a divorce. I was scheduled to go to court for the second time. And that time, my husband called me and said, Erica, I need help. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. He goes, I need help. He was crying. I said, okay, we'll get you help. Went to San Antonio. We took him. He was nervous all the way up there. we just wanted to get there and have him meet the people at the rehab. It's a rehab in San Antonio, out Cry of the Barrio, and it was really successful with another family member. So that's how he heard of it, and he wanted to go there because he saw the change in that person. So one of the times he called me and he said that he was ready to come home, that he was done with the 30 days and he was ready to come home. It was almost as if he was eager to get home because he wanted to share what he had learned. I mean, they taught him the things of the Lord there every day. And when he came, we picked him up from the bus station, and he came home from the ride from the bus station to the house. He was just talking about how he learned this and how he understood this and how the Lord was working in him. And it was just a different Ruben. I told him, I said, Ruben, I'm still going to continue with the divorce. And he said, yeah, I know. I said, I'm still going to continue. He goes, yeah, I know you are. And I did. The second court date came up, and I get a call from my lawyer, and he says that he was sorry, but we were going to have to reschedule again. And I told Ruben, I said, Ruben, they rescheduled the court date for the divorce again. He's like, I know. And I said, what do you mean you know? He goes, I've been praying the Lord not let it happen because he's changing me. And I know he's changing me so you can love me again. I kind of laugh about it. Oh, Ruben, you know what you're talking about. Even my brother-in-law used to ask me, Erica, you don't think that you and Ruben will get back together? I was like, no, we get along fine now because we're not together, and we get along like we're friends. We're better this way. I said, only by a miracle of God will me and Ruben stay married. I loved him, and I continued to pray for him, but I didn't feel like I was in love with him anymore. And so we went to Love Worth Fighting For, and it was awesome. It was amazing. He got a lot out of it, and so did I. But one thing that I learned from that service was forgiveness. And it's like she pierced my heart when she said that. Because it was always Ruben doing this and that to me. But never did I tell him, I forgive you, or I'm sorry. Because in a marriage, not only, it takes two to make that marriage, and it takes two to break that marriage. Just because I went to church and I wasn't drinking and drugs and smoking, and I wasn't into that life, never really did I go into that. I made mistakes in that marriage as well. And I hurt him as well, but not knowing it. So I turned around and I looked at him and I started crying and I said, I forgive you. And then the court date, the third court date came up, and I told Ruben, I said, I'm gonna go to court, I'm gonna get ready. I'm just letting you know, he didn't have to go. He signed papers where he didn't have to present himself, which I didn't need him to present himself. He had already did his part. I just need to go, and I need to get this done because this is what I wanted. I started to panic. I've never had a panic attack. I've never hyperventilated. I didn't know what that was. I never had anxiety. I never felt that, but that's what I started to feel. I started to feel like I felt like I was doing something that I shouldn't have done. I felt like maybe I shouldn't have filed for divorce. But I was supposed to be at the courthouse by 8. So I got up early. I woke up and that feeling still was there. And I told the Lord again, I said, if this divorce is a mistake, you stop it because I'm going to go forward with it. but make it clear to me that it's not what you want me to do, but you're gonna have to stop it, because I'm not. I'm done. I'm not gonna stop it. I continued to get ready, and I got in the car and I was driving out of the driveway. It was about 6:30 in the morning. My phone goes off. It starts to ring. A number I did not recognize. If I don't recognize a number, I don't answer it. So I didn't answer it. And it rang again. Same number. And then I started to think, okay, who's calling me so early in the morning? I answered it. It was my lawyer. Every time I talked to my lawyer, it was either in person or by the office number. I didn't know his cell phone number. So I answered, and it was my lawyer. And he's like, Miss Loredo? And I was like, yes. He's like, I don't know what to tell you, but my wife parked her car behind my car last night in our driveway, and her car is not starting now. And I was like, okay. He's like, for some reason it's not starting, Erica. I don't know what's going on. It was drizzling a little bit. It was kind of sprinkling that morning. And he goes, hers is one of those new fancy cars. You have to push the button, and I'm pushing the button. It's not starting. I don't know what's going on. It was working fine. I'm like, okay. I didn't know what to tell him. I was kind of just in shock. And then these words come out of his mouth. He's like, Erica, I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but I don't think this divorce is meant to happen. And when he told me that, it was like I wasn't hearing my lawyer. It was as if I was hearing the Lord tell me, it's not gonna happen. It's not supposed to happen. You asked me to stop it. I'm stopping it. And I just told my lawyer, I will call you later. And I began to cry so much. I made a U-turn and went back to the property, back to where we live. And I called Ruben and I said, Ruben, I said, you need to stop. And he's like, what happened? What's wrong? You need to stop praying because they just canceled the court date again because my lawyer cannot get out of his driveway. And all he could tell me so calmly while I'm over here freaking out, he goes, I told you I have been praying for God not to allow this divorce to happen. I'm telling you, he's changing me so you can love me again. And I said that the Lord's timing is perfect because my rock, my strength, and the one that would give me hope, speak God's word to me when I needed it, was my husband. That one husband, that man that a few years ago I was so ready to let go. And he today is the one who holds me up and helps me to get through every day. Now we come to church together and he's standing beside me because he chooses to come, not because I force him. He's raising his hands and praying to the Lord along with me. And that's an amazing feeling to know that your husband or your wife is sitting or standing next to you praising the Lord. That's amazing to me. Today we get up every morning. He started his new job, so he has to get up extra early. I get up with him. We eat breakfast, we drink our coffee. We just started a new lesson on Tuesday nights. We study our lesson, we read the Bible. And my day goes by so much smoother, so much relaxed, so much with just a little pep in my step. Because we do that every morning. If any of you can relate to my story, my advice to you is don't stop praying for that person. Don't give up. And keep trusting God. If God tells you to do something, you do it. Because you might just be that one little step away from God transforming that person. So hold on. Just hold on and don't let go. My name is Erica, and I believe in a God of miracles.